Oh yeah! Just as I thought I couldn't possibly be more pumped for this movie, this happens. Something I don't think any of us ever thought was even possible. The Blue Oyster Cult Godzilla song, which first debuted in 1977 on Spectres, is finally going to be in a Godzilla movie. An actual official Godzilla movie. That was so long considered a pipe dream, something we always thought, well, it would be cool if they could actually get a song like that into the movie, but I guess we just have to relegate that to the same level of impossible as a rematch between King Kong and Godzilla. Well, now not only are we getting the rematch, the song is actually in Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019. At least as far as I can tell. General speculation at this point is that it's going to play during the credits. Admittedly, it would have been nice if they could have used the original version, but I understand why they're not doing that. Obviously, first of all, there's the monetary reason. You have to license the original song, and if people really like it, who maybe haven't heard it before, and they want to go get the CD or download it off of iTunes or however you get your music, all that money is going to go to whoever is licensing it. So Warner Brothers would want their own version so they can put it on their own albums and get the money themselves. But the other reason, of course, is to reinterpret it. You have a new version for a new generation. I don't think this version replaces the original Blue Oyster Cult song in any way, shape, or form. But it's a different take on that song. Now, of course, the question is how it works as a reinterpretation. Full confession, this is the first time I've heard Serj Tankian sing. I know he was in System of a Down, but I've never listened to System of a Down. Just not my particular taste in music. And when I first realized that this was the song, the actual Blue Oyster Cult song, then I heard his voice. At first I was thinking, I'm not sure about him. He's not really a good singer. But then again, there are plenty of rock singers out there who aren't necessarily good singers per se, but what matters is whether or not their voice fits with the music. That's really the important thing. It doesn't get enough attention, I think. You gotta have the voice fit with the music or else the whole thing falls apart. I mean, suppose you've got a song with nice wind instruments and strings playing, gentle melodies, and you put a death growl over that going, Ave Maria! It's gonna sound terrible. Likewise, if you do Ave Maria, operatic singing over crunching guitars and pounding drums, there's gonna be a disconnect there as well. Obviously, you gotta switch out the vocals for the music, and then it works. And for this particular rendition, yes, Serj's voice, I think, does fit with what they're going with. Even if it's not necessarily my preferred kind of voice, it's fitting for the song itself. And from an acoustic standpoint, the changes to the song are necessary. This isn't the only piece from the soundtrack that Warner Brothers posted on YouTube. They also posted Old Rivals, which is going to be in the movie proper. And listening to that, and then listening to the Godzilla cover, or the other way around, whichever order it is, you can tell there is some consistency. The use of strings is not prominent in the Godzilla cover, but it is there, as is the chanting men's choir going Go-chi-ra throughout the whole thing. That's present in Old Rivals, and it's present in a couple of other tracks, or maybe it was just the one track that made it its way bootleg version online a few months ago. So this new song is not just there to be the Godzilla song, it actually is a part of the soundtrack. There's that level of consistency. It's not like it's the one pop song that stands in contrast with every other piece on the soundtrack, so you don't download it or you skip over it in the CD player or whatever. This is part of the overall piece because it has that consistency throughout. But perhaps just as important, and some might even say most important of all, is the passion, the heart that goes into making the song. Covers can be tricky. Oftentimes, the reason why people say a cover song doesn't work is because the artist's heart just isn't in it. It's a studio mandate. They want brand recognition. They want a single, and rather than go with something new, they're going with something tried and true by the ages. And the artist doesn't really want to do it, but kinda has to do it because the contract says so. So, it can be difficult for a cover song to really be good. Sometimes they are, sometimes it is the artist's choice to do it, or sometimes they're like, yeah, I love that song, of course I'll cover it. I would cover it even if I didn't have to. But it's not common for that to happen. And Godzilla is one of the classics of the classics. One of 3 Blue Oyster Cult songs that still gets regular radio playtime today. So that's a tall order to cover it. And you can tell that Bear McCreary must have had a blast getting to do his own rendition of this song. And Serge certainly sounds like he is really getting into it as he's singing. And the whole thing feels like it is genuinely made from a place of wanting to do it and having a blast while doing it. And that shows through. At least that's how I'm listening to it. I'm pretty good at telling when somebody is phoning it in, and this does not sound phoned in. I suppose I'd be remiss if I focused entirely on the Blue Oyster Cult cover, though. Old Rivals also sounds very impressive. It's got that strength and power to it. I can almost visualize what a scene might look like set to this music, even without having seen what it's actually set to. I don't know what this piece underscores specifically, but I can still get an idea of what it could underscore. And that in and of itself is quite impressive. When the music can actually create visuals in your mind entirely on its own, that's a sign of good music right there. And of course, as promised, it also incorporates classic motifs from Akira Ifukube's score. We hear the classic Godzilla theme of dun 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 throughout. Well, not necessarily throughout, but at specific parts. And it's incorporated quite well and feels like a natural part of the overall piece. And I like that it's incorporating those elements, because that's kind of a tradition with Godzilla movies. You have the recurring music. It's like making a Star Wars movie without incorporating that original classic theme that stole a lot of elements from Mars, the Bringer of War, but that's beside the point. You have to have those recognizable moments. Not that I don't like the completely original score of Godzilla 2014. It was good, and I think the new music they came up with to represent Godzilla also sounded really good. But at the same time, I mean, it's always nice to hear those new themes come back, and not in the let's just download it off of iTunes and put it in the audio track as we're editing the film style that Shin Godzilla went with. Sorry, but I think that was lazy. Actually re-recording it and putting your own spin on it, or incorporating it into a grander piece, I think that's a better way to go, just overall. So if nothing else, the music is going to be amazing. And these are just the 2 tracks we've officially heard clearly so far. There are 26 tracks total, including themes for Rodan, Ghidorah, and Mothra. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the rest of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this music is used within the film itself. Again, this new rendition of Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla doesn't replace the original song, but I definitely think it deserves to be counted alongside it. If nothing else, it deserves that much, because they really pulled out all the stops to make it sound good. And it does. And that's where I stand on the soundtrack thus far. Here's to the next 24 songs sounding just as good. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. And yes, I am going to listen to it one more time. Did you really expect otherwise? If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it as well as subscribe to the channel for more content of a similar nature. Also, check the description for links to our Twitter, DeviantArt, and Patreon pages, as well as the Amazon link for the novel Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, penned by yours truly. Thank you all, and we appreciate your support.